Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching my videos. So this one, we're gonna talk about the social aspects of being a Jehovah's Witness. What is it like growing up as a Jehovah's Witness? How do you have fun? What is the social life like, right? Let's talk about it because for me personally and for many others, it is a big part of your life. It shapes you, especially when you are born into this religion. The social aspects, how you interact with people, all of that plays a really, really big part in your day-to-day life. Even as an adult, when you leave, it still plays a part. And I can say from personal experience, being a Jehovah's Witness is a social prison. Let's get into it. Why is that? Well, first and foremost, the one thing that they teach you religiously is that everybody outside of the religion is bad association. Quite literally, what scripture do they use to justify it? 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad association spoils useful habits. I didn't even have to look it up. My dad beat that shit into my head. Every second he had, every moment that he felt he had the opportunity to say that. Do not be misled. Bad association spoils useful habits. Like, sir, I get it. You know. They teach you that everybody who is not a Jehovah's Witness, they call them worldly people. All of them are just corrupt, led by Satan, just they're slaves to sin. That is what I remember my parents telling me all the time. Oh, they're just slaves to sin. You know, they just want to do what they want to do with no consequences, basically, right? Whatever. So growing up, hearing that consistently all the time, it really isolates you. It causes you to be different. So growing up in school, not only do you feel different, you're treated differently. Everybody looks at you differently, you know? And it's almost like an out-of-body experience, because it's like, okay, I can remember being in class, you're sitting there and, you know, you're just looking at everybody and you're just like, everybody's different, you know? I'm different. They don't know what I know. They're gonna die one day while I'm in paradise. So I have to be away. I can't associate with them, you know? It's like being in a bubble, but you're still in like everybody's atmosphere. So it's like being in a bubble with everybody else. You're different. And everybody knows you're different because you cannot hang out with people after school, you know, all these extracurriculars, sports, all of that, dead, you know? So people invite you to school. I mean, invite you out after school for whatever. Oh, let's hang out. I got a sleepover. It's my birthday party. We doing X, Y, and Z. We're going to the movies. And it's like, no. My parents said I can't come. And it's like, you ain't even asked them. You ain't asked your parents if you could go. You know you can't go. You know you cannot hang out with them. So you start creating excuses. You know, my parents are just really strict. They don't let me go anywhere, so I can't go. You know, now you don't want to sit there and tell somebody you're a bad association, so I can't hang out with you. Because now you're really going to be labeled as weird. You know, they already think you're different already just because you're not standing up for the flag. You know, you're not doing the things that everybody else does, so you're already labeled as different. But if you start telling people, oh, you bad association, you're gonna die in Armageddon, this and that, like, what? They can look at you like, the fuck? So you had to make up excuses as to why you cannot hang out with people, you know? Even holiday parties, things like that that were in school. You cannot participate in those. I mentioned in my first video about why I left the witnesses, because growing up, I specifically, especially in elementary school, whether it was Christmas, Valentine's Day, or whatever, I could not participate. And I remember the looks on my teachers' faces. They always looked like they had so much pity for me. And I remember thinking to in my head, please save me. Just let me be in here. I'm not gonna say anything. It's okay. But no, I was in the library. I was in a counselor's office, or I was just at home. I was not able to participate in any type of holiday party, no birthday party, nothing. That is where I developed my love for reading, because I was always in the library whenever things were going on. Even something like sex ed. Couldn't take sex ed. Why? I don't need to know about that, right? I'm a kid. We'll teach you about sex, even though this is off topic, but my parents were very much, here's a book about your body. Sex is bad. It's addictive. Once you start, you're never going to want to stop, which is true. But then that was the extent of the conversation. Don't do it. Wait till you're married. That was it. Anyway, off topic. You have to, when you're a child growing up as a witness world, you have to make excuses for why you can't do normal kid things with other kids, because you're a bad association, you know. Even sports events, like I could not go to any basketball game by myself. I could not go to a football game, nothing by myself, you know. I remember I wanted to go to like a play or something at my school, because my first high school that I went to, I went to a school that had a big arts segment to it. And they put on a big little show, whatever, and I really wanted to go. I begged my mom. I was in high school. I think I was in the 10th or 11th grade. My mom went with me and sat with me the entire time. She did not let me out of her sight, because God forbid what was going to happen while she was there. But it was little stuff like that. Even when one time I went to a football game, my mom was with me the entire time. Even while we were there together, I said, hey, can I go walk around with my friends, you know, during halftime or whatever? No, you need to sit right here with me. You know, couldn't go to the concession stand by myself. Couldn't do none of that. Now, I know that my parents were extra strict, that is not exactly the norm in the Jehovah's Witness organization, but the concept is the same. So I say all of this to say, tightly held, right? So you don't learn social skills, because I'm always up under somebody. You don't really know how to talk to people outside of trying to preach to them, talk about God. You don't get life experience, because you're always up under somebody. You're always talking about God. You're always doing something for God, you know. You really do not learn social skills whatsoever. And I really feel for those people. I knew a few people who were homeschooled, never went to public school. I thought I had it bad. But being homeschooled, in the Jehovah's Witness world, Then we get to prom. Prom was a fuck no. You know, can I say that on YouTube? I think I can. Anyway, no prom. So, you know, that is a big experience growing up for teenagers to be able to go to prom. 11th grade prom. If you don't go to 11th grade, you're going to your senior prom. Like, that's the thing to do. But imagine being a teenager and prom is going around. People like, oh, did you get your prom tickets? Who's your prom date? Did you get your prom dress? This and that. And you're just literally sitting in a corner of the classroom just sad and depressed because you're not able to experience a very monumental moment in what a normal teenager's life is. And again, people are like, are you going to prom? Are you doing this? And it's like, no, not going to prom. And they're like, why not? Parents won't let me go. They're just very strict and all that. Again, you cannot tell them, I can't go because you guys are bad association and they do not want me hanging out with you more than I have to. And I have to for school. And I, you know, outside of that, there's nothing that can happen. You know, that stuck with me for a very, very long time. You know, even until I was like 25, I'd be on social media and I would see people, you know, posting their kids, their cousins going to prom. And it's like, damn, I never got to experience any of that, you know. I don't know what that feels like to be able to experience such a thing, you know. But then you'll have those witnesses that'll be like, you know, oh, we had JW prom, with JW things that were like prom and all that. So you did get to experience some of it, but it's like, it's not the same. It's not the same. Because growing up, that is something that they did. I have pictures now of when I got dressed up like I was going to a prom, but it was a Jehovah's Witness event. But the thing is, with JW events, it's very, very monitored. And being that you are a teenager, you know, teenagers do crazy things. I understand there needs to be a level of you know, chaperones, monitoring. I get that, for sure. But it was very not gonna say that word. It was very watered down experience, you know. You get together with a whole bunch of witnesses, you know, the brothers are in their tux, you're in this little prom dress, but we all know it's not the same. And again, that creates a very isolated mindset, a very us versus them. Oh, the worldly people are having their own prom, but we're gonna have our separate little thing here just for the witnesses. And it's like very segregated in a sense, and that's still not good for you socially, especially for me, being that I was still very black sheepish in the organization for my entire life. So although I went to this JW prom, nobody really talked to me. Nobody interacted with me because, once again, who was always there? Who was I always up under? My mother. You know? So nobody was like trying to talk to me, again, because I was an elder's kid. So it's like, you know, now that I know some things that were going on, it's like, because I was the eldest kid, they didn't want to hang out with me because they thought I would have snitched on whatever they were doing. And then I was just weird as well. Weird because I didn't have any social skills. So that JW prom was not beneficial. I was still very sad going to those things because it's like, it's not the same. You got all the clean version of the music playing, you know, everybody named mama in there. Like mama, literally everybody named mama's in there. You know, you can't dance how you want to dance. They're not playing the same type of music that you may listen to. It's just not the same. It's not the same experience, you know? So socially growing up, you don't have those normal experiences that a regular kid would have. But let the organization tell it. You have an entire community, a whole worldwide community of friends. You can go, I remember being told, you can go anywhere in the world and you're gonna have a friend. You can go to France, you can go to Switzerland, you can go to Australia, Africa, this place. You're gonna have friends. Just find a Kingdom Hall. You're gonna have friends everywhere. Like, I don't know these people, you know, they're not your friends, because as soon as you're not doing Jehovah things, where are they? Nowhere to be found, right? Okay. So that's what they tell you. You can have friends in the organization. You can mingle. You can do all that. But what they fail to tell you also is that a lot of these things, these relationships are so forced. They're so unnatural because you're consistently talking about Jehovah in these relationships. You're consistently talking about what what you're doing in these organizations for, you know, to seem spiritual, all of that. So yes, it's very, very forced, you know. And a lot of times when you're trying to hang out with people in an organization, they're telling you, oh, you not only can you have friends all across the world, you can also have friends of all ages. So you see Sister Billy Ann over there, you can be her friend. It doesn't matter that she's 80. It doesn't matter that Sister Sue Ann is 60 and you're only 15. They could be your friends. You know, you have all that in common. You have the truth in common. And that is a great basis for a friendship. Is it though? Yes, you have something in common. But I'm 15, you're 60, you're whatever age. Our bonding time is going out and field service. What? I don't want to go out and field service in the first place. Like, every time I'd be like, I'd be at the meetings and, you know, oh, you can go make some friends, go mingle, do all of this. And it's like, okay, cool, I'll do that. And the first thing they're going to ask you, oh, you want to go out and field service with me on Saturday? No. No. But I'm going to say yes because it's technically that's the right answer, right? But no, I don't want to go, but I'm going to do it because that's going to make me look like the spiritual person that I should be, right? Going out in field service, they're asking you, oh, so what are your spiritual goals? Do you want to auxiliary pioneer one day, serve where the need is greater? Do you want to do all this, do that? You know, really devote your life and your time to Jehovah and all this. Lady, I'm 15. I want to go home, play some video games, go hang out with somebody, do something fun. You asking me about field service and serve where the need is greater, baby. I'm not thinking about that. I'm really not. But that is what you have to say. You be like, yeah, I want to always auxiliary pioneer, all of that, because that is what is going to make you seem spiritual. It's what's gonna make them feel like you're good association. You know, if you seem like this really spiritual person, you're gonna be able to have friends. You're gonna talk to people. You're gonna have somebody to interact with, right? But what does that create? That creates a false sense of identity, a false you. Because in your effort to interact with people, to have friends, you are putting on a false persona just to be able to do that. Because here I am thinking about this, and that ain't got nothing to do with this organization. But if I want you in my life, if I want to have some type of interaction with anybody, I got to not talk about that at all. I got to put that behind me just to have you in my life. And that is why when you come out of it, you have to rediscover yourself, because this whole time you've been thinking about Jehovah and what looks good to others, but you're not really embracing you, who you are. So these relationships and the witness organization are very superficial. They're based on what looks good to other people, because as soon as you're not doing what others feel like is the most spiritual thing, they're gonna pull back, because not only do they have worldly people that are bad association within the organization, they also have people that are labeled as spiritually weak, and those spiritually weak people are very close to being on the same level as disfellowshipped, you know, inactive, all of that. As soon as you become inactive, she ain't been coming to the Kingdom Halls lately. She ain't been out in field service. We don't know if we can hang out with her. She's probably just gonna sway us away from the truth. You know, so that's when you have to be fake. You gotta be fake. And then also, too, let's get into these JW gatherings. JW gatherings. They're like little parties. We gotta use that word loosely, because I can count on one hand one hand, how many gatherings I've been to growing up where they were not based around Bible things, Jehovah Witness things. You know, they'd be like, oh, we're having a little get together this weekend. We're going to get a little few friends together, play some games, watch this, watch that, you know, da-da-da. We're going to have a good time. You're like, okay, that sounds good. You know, I can do that. You know, you get there, you see some food. You're like, okay. You know, everybody dressed in their regular clothes. You're like, okay, I can have fun. No. Because guess what? Guess what's sitting on the back of that table? You got Bible Jenga, Bible Uno, Bible Jeopardy, Bible this, Bible that. Every game that you can think of, they have a Bible version of it. God damn it, I can't get away from this shit. That's what I would be thinking. What? Oh, I used to hate that. Like, can I just get a break? Y'all are beating this shit in my head. Let it go. Let it go. You know? So you would get to these gatherings and got all these games, and then you might watch a little something, like a little movie that's regular. Of course, it's got to be PG, maybe PG-13. You don't want nothing too explicit, you know. But as soon as that movie go off, okay, guys, let's get around. Let's talk about what brought us into the truth. You know, what made you want to get baptized? What do you love about Jehovah so much? Oh my God. You talking about a girl would be sitting there racking my brain like, gosh, shit, it's coming around to me real quick. I need to make something up real quick. What do I love? What made me want to get baptized? Let me make up something real quick, cause this is, oh, I cannot stress enough. They drown you every chance they get into Jehovah, this organization, devote your life. They drown you in that mindset. They drown you. They drench you, everything. I feel like I got dipped over and over again with everything that I did. I cannot stress that enough. I really can't. And it just creates more and more and more lies that you have to tell yourself and others just to sound good. Just so that you're not looked down upon, you're not frowned upon, none of that. You're just constantly making up things, you know? It sucks, quite literally. So this ties, all of this ties together to the point that friendships, all those interactions within the organization are very, very transactional, very conditional. Because as soon as you start being consistent with going to the meetings, even commenting at the meetings, you know, it gets to a point, you know, you'd be at the meeting and you're just like, I don't feel like commenting today. Oh, okay, guess what? Sister Billy Ann is gonna come up to you. Oh my God, I didn't see you raise your hand tonight. I look forward to your comments. And I really missed your comment today. Now you're going home thinking like, dang it, I didn't make a comment. Like, they're probably all looking at me like I'm just falling off. Let me get back on it. And there's more for you to do, right? Start falling off in field service. Oh, I haven't seen you out in field service. Or, you know, you put only 2 hours on your time card. I know they don't do that anymore. Before somebody says that, I know. But as soon as you say that, as soon as you turn in them 2 hours, I see your hours have decreased this month. Is there anything we could do to help you get those hours back up? Or, you know, somebody's encouraging you. The elders are going to tell their elders' wives, go invite Sister Marla out for field service this week. Or, you know, so she needs some encouragement, you know. Fall off on them field service and meeting times. You're going to see a change, you know. It's very, very conditional, you know. And even if none of that works, guess what? They're going to start shunning you for sure. And you're still in the organization. They will start to treat you differently. Now you're labeled as bad association. Because not only is there bad association outside of the organization, there's bad association within the organization. And within the organization, the main qualifier for being bad association is inconsistency. That's it. They don't care if your mama died, your sister died, your dog sick, your kid sick. You better be at the meetings and the field service. They don't give a fuck about what you got going on. Be at the meetings, be in field service. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. That's all that matters. Quite literally. If not, you will be isolated within the organization. Ask me how I know. I've been there. I have been there. You start to feel like, I ain't got nobody outside the organization. I don't have nobody in it. What am I doing? Depression. That's what it is. It keeps you in an infinite hamster wheel. Constantly having to do something just to stay active, to have somebody in your life. And as I mentioned earlier, when you have these friendships and, they're very conditional, you end up walking on eggshells, essentially, so that you don't lose these friendships, these interactions that you have. Because you can't be yourself, like I said. If it ain't about Jehovah, if it's not geared towards Jehovah, you could talk about regular stuff, but you better be like, oh, with Jehovah I can do it, though. The Watchtower in the Wake says this and that. You have to really walk on eggshells. You have to be put on a persona that is acceptable to others. Something else that I was taught growing up is you don't want to stumble your brothers or your sisters. If I can't remember the exact scripture, if eating a piece of meat stumbles your brother, don't eat it. Damn, if the piece of meat is my last piece of meat and it's going to save my life, Sister Sue Ann don't like meat and she's sitting right there in front of me, so don't eat that. So it causes you to put other people's desires and wants above your own. It causes you to be a people pleaser. And that is something that you really, when you come out of it, you really, really have to work on. You really have to get out of that people pleasing mentality, because in the real world, that's detrimental. You're harming yourself, because at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. When you learn first aid, emergency medicine, all of that, one of the first things that they tell you to do is to make sure your scene is safe. You got to take care of yourself first before you can take care of somebody else. You can't run into a burning building if you're not protected. You can, but it's not the safe option, So when you're in that organization, you're placing everybody else above you, basically, But there is hope. Although being a Jehovah's Witness really shapes your entire life, your mindset. You learn how to talk, learn how to walk, how to behave, how to dress, who to be with, who not to be with, how to keep up appearances. But here's the bright side of it all. At the end of the day, when you come out of it, you have the opportunity to recreate who it is that you want to be, who you want to be with, who you want to hang out with, how you want to dress, how you want to talk, how you want to look. It is up to you. You regain your freedom, your power, and your will to do whatever it is that you like. If you want to still live a modest life, if you still want to just hang out with a certain group of people, it's up to you. You have that freedom. One thing that they tell you in the organization is that you have free will. Do they exercise that free will? No. Not at all. They tell you they do, but they don't. But when you get out of the organization, you experience the true meaning of free will. And it is the most beautiful thing ever. It is. Being able to explore without true ramifications. Yes, there are consequences to everything. There's still life. There's still things going out there that are harmful. But you're outside of that bubble now. And when I tell you it is beautiful to experience, it is beautiful to experience. So you just got to get away from that mindset and take a leap of faith. But it's very possible to live a very happy life, a very social life, you know. I'm still working on it day by day. It's going to be a lifelong process, but I am happy with the direction that I'm going in and the life that I have created for myself. So I just wanted to give that last piece of positivity. And I thank you guys so much for watching and tuning into my videos. Please, please, please comment any other ideas that you guys want me to talk about, anything like that. And like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. The next video, we're going to talk about dating. What is it like dating in the organization? Let's see. Until then, I'll see you guys.